Hey listeners, this is Jane. Today I'm going to be talking about Catholic schools. I chose Catholic schools because since moving up to North Dakota about 2 or 3 years ago, I've really met a lot of people that attended Catholic school at some point in their education, whether it was elementary school, middle school, or high school. And it was something that I was kind of interested in because before I moved up here, I didn't really know anybody that attended Catholic schools. But I feel like 2 out of 4 people I meet have attended Catholic schools for some reason. And this project gave me the opportunity to kind of look deeper in it and see what's so great about Catholic schools. Why do people send their kids there? Are they better than public schools? Did my friends get a better education than me? So many questions. So I felt like it was time to find out why. And so I did research and I did interviews and I found out a lot of information that I didn't know, which you'll hear about in this film. I feel like this is going to benefit me later as a teacher because when I go out looking for jobs, I know what to expect when I apply for a teaching position at a Catholic school if that's the route I decide to take. Since I'm not Catholic, I know that I do have a fair chance of getting a job as well, and I'll be able to understand my students a little bit better that attend if I teach at a Catholic school, or if they transfer to a public school, I'll be able to relate somehow to their experiences because I've done this research and I've had the opportunity to interview so many people that attended and compare their experiences to mine. Hi Katie.
Hi Jane.
Thanks for doing this interview today.
Anytime.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Okay, you ready to get started?
So ready.
Nice. Okay, so question 1. What was the learning environment like for you at your Catholic school?
What were the classrooms like?
Yeah, like the classes you took, what electives did you have, the school itself, whatever you want to answer.
Well, we had closed classrooms, so that was pretty nice. We had 3 different teachers for each grade, and then you would just switch which teacher you had for which subject. We had basic subjects like science and math and English and history, and then we had a religion class, and then you could take art and gym or Spanish, and you did those once a week.
So based on the question that I asked Katie about learning environments, we talked about teacher-student ratio, classes that were offered, which included more electives and more academic classes compared to what most public schools get. And in Catholic schools, you have a tendency to have a 15 to 20 student ratio per teacher, and then 25 to 30 in public schools per teacher. In my findings, I found out that Catholic schools offer more choices for academic classes, like more history options, English options, higher math classes, and more foreign language options, as well as other electives. So Katie was able to support my research because she attended Catholic school and she had all those opportunities compared to me who went to public school. So the more academic classes you're offered and electives are supposed to help you get higher test scores because it gives you the ability to learn more subjects. Okay, so do you think religion was the main focus at your school?
I think it was pretty important. We did have an entire class dedicated just to religion class.
So it was equal to core subjects?
Yeah.
So it's its own class?
Yep.
Okay, so that's how it was kind of incorporated? You didn't learn it in English or history or math or anything? It was just its own subject in the day?
It was. Most of the classes didn't have religion, but in science we didn't learn a lot of things like the Big Bang Theory or evolution or anything.
They just tied it back into Adam and Eve and things like that? Okay.
Creationism.
Okay. So based on my question that I asked Katie about how religion was incorporated into her school and was it the main focus, she talked about how religion was only a subject during the day. So she had it for about an hour a day, every day, instead of it being incorporated into English classes, history classes, and science classes for the most part. That kind of supports one of my findings. I found out that more modern day Catholic schools have a tendency to just take religion out of all the core subjects and make it into a class of its own. They feel like their students do better when they just have one class on religion to focus on instead of learning it throughout the day because it can get tiring for them to be getting told the same thing over and over in their classes when it comes to religion. And actually, most of the people that I interviewed said that they just had one class a day and that they would attend Mass maybe twice a week instead of having it all day like we're known. Catholic schools are known to have religion incorporated into English by reading religious texts or only learning about religious in a history kind of way instead of American history and U.S. history and things like that. But it seems like more people today just have a separate class for it, which is great. So, do you think all the students at your school are Catholic?
I think most of them were.
Most of them?
I think a couple probably weren't.
Okay. What about the teachers?
As far as I know, most of them were teachers from Catholic churches in the area, so.
So I asked Katie if all her teachers were Catholic, and her response was no. For the most part, she thinks that most of them were Catholic, but some weren't. And this supports my findings because I thought to teach at a Catholic school, you had to be Catholic. But apparently you don't. There are a lot of teachers that choose to teach at a Catholic school because they like the privacy of it, as well as the mission that the school has. It might not be their personal beliefs, but they support what is being taught. So I thought that was great because as a future educator, not being Catholic, I have that option to teach at a Catholic school if I want to be a part of that and support what they're doing. Nice. Okay. So what did you think your Catholic school found important for you guys to learn to help you like be an adult? Like what component of your you?
Definitely our faith.
Faith?
The Catholic faith.
Makes sense. You went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a really strong connection with your faith then since you attended a Catholic school?
Not so much.
Why do you think so?
I think it's because it was pushed on us a lot. We had a whole class just about it. So.
Okay. Do you think other students feel that way too?
I think some of them do. Some of them have a stronger faith than I think they would have if they went to regular school.
So I asked Katie what she thought was an important component in becoming an adult that her Catholic school wanted her to learn. And she talked about faith, which agrees with the research that I did because they did a study between teachers and administrators trying to figure out what was important for them to teach their students. And a lot of them said faith. And of course, they're a Catholic school. They want their students to know about their religion. I asked her if she felt if she had a strong connection with her faith since she went to a Catholic school. Because in my findings, it says that you do have a better relationship with your faith and that you attend Mass regularly and you are very supportive in your community and you help your Catholic community as much as you can and you donate to the school and you just want to be a part of it because you grew up with it and you have a strong belief in it. But Katie disagreed with that. She said that she didn't really have that strong of a connection with her faith anymore because it was pushed on her, which I found interesting. And it turns out that a couple people that I interviewed had that same belief, that they felt like they didn't have that strong of a relationship with God or any type of faith because it was just drilled into them all the time. And then I had a couple that were like, no, I love God and I'm all about my Catholic beliefs. So it kind of makes me wonder, does it depend on the school and how it was taught? Okay. Do you think Catholic school prepared you for college?
I do because they helped us focus a lot more on like school and like athletics than partying and like social calendars.
So do you think you're pretty focused on your academics in college and not so much the partying because of the morals you've learned?
Yeah, for the most part, I think so.
For the most part? So in my findings, I found out that graduates of Catholic schools tend to get higher pay, better job opportunities, and tend to go to better colleges because of the Catholic school, and that's on their transcript and their resumes, and it just makes them look good because society thinks if you attend Catholic schools you have great morals and you received a better education. Most of my research was about the workforce, but since most of my friends are still in college, I modified the question a little bit and asked if they thought Catholic schools prepared them for their college experience and just going. And Katie talked about how she felt like she had a good standard at Catholic school to make her want to succeed, so she didn't party as much, and she focused on her academics and joined academic clubs and tried to be well-rounded and do the best of her ability. And I feel like that eventually will help her in the workforce. So in the end, it's all going to tie back together to her attending Catholic school will help her have a better job opportunity because she was able to get into a decent school and a decent program. Okay, so do you think your school kind of provided a lot of newer things for you, like textbooks and technology, to help you be more successful?
Yeah, we had a newer school, so we did have a lot of new like books and computers and the whole building.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lillian, do you think it was because like private schools have funding to do that and provide you with the newer things?
Yeah, I think people are more willing to pay more for a private school if they're getting better quality items.
Textbooks and technology. Catholic schools tend to have the best. They get newer textbooks and they have more advanced technology compared to public schools. And it's because they have to pay tuition to go. So they have more funding than public schools. So I asked all my people, including Katie, if they got newer textbooks and more advanced technology. And Katie's response was that her Catholic school was brand new. So they had new everything, which was great because they had the funding for it. And I asked a couple of other people that I interviewed as well, and one of them stated in the 5th grade he got a brand new laptop, and every couple of years it got updated with the software and things like that. And I think that definitely helps Catholic school students advance in their education because they have newer textbooks and newer laptops, whereas some public schools today still have computers from the 90s. So their things are more outdated. So this proves my research in Catholic schools have the funding to get the better school supplies. Okay.
Yeah.
Move on. So standardized testing, we all do it. Do you think you scored better going to a Catholic school on your standardized test?
I think so. I got a 27 on my ACT.
Nice. Good job.
Thank you.
So do you feel like your school prepared you for the ACT and getting that high score to help you get into college?
Yeah, they focused a lot on academics and making sure that we really understood what we were learning and not just taking tests.
So Katie and I talked about standardized testing. Katie seems to do well at standardized tests. She seems to score like kind of average or above average, which is good. In my research, I found a couple different things. One article was about how Catholic schools do a lot better than public schools in testing, and another one was about how they're kind of equal. And I think it just depends on what public school and Catholic schools you're comparing, because some public schools do have better opportunities for their students on the level of a Catholic school, which is a private school. And some public schools can't give that much of an opportunity to their students. So Katie kind of supports one of my findings and not the other one, but you can't really support both, so that's okay. I think that students that attend Catholic schools seem to do better because they have all those extra resources if you were going to do it like nationally compare, because they have the funds to do well, like the research talked about. Okay, why do you think your parents decided to send you to a Catholic school?
I think a big part was that there were smaller classrooms, so teachers had more focus on students, so you could get more of a one-on-one kind of a thing instead of just a big group of people.
Instead of like 30 students per classroom like in a public school would be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my research, I found out that parents want to send their kids to Catholic school because they feel like it'll provide a better education. Katie talked about her parents sending her because of the ratio and the better opportunities, which is in agreement with my findings as well, because parents thought that the smaller classrooms would help their kids get that one-on-one and a better education and understand the material better. My research talked about how Catholic schools offer more academic courses and elective courses, which is going to broaden the range of their student or their child. So parents want to send them because of the better education that they think they're going to receive. A couple of the other people I interviewed talked about how since their parents were Catholic, they thought it would be good to get a stronger belief in the Catholic religion as well as the morals about it, and they thought it would be a better atmosphere for them to be in compared to a public school because they felt like the students would understand each other better. Okay, so overall, based on your experience at a Catholic school, did you like it? Did you not like it?
I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't recommend it, I guess, just because I didn't feel like I got much of a well-rounded education. I feel like it was, I don't know, there were a lot of things I didn't learn that I feel like I should have learned.
Probably because they split the attention on religion and core subjects.
Yes.
Whereas public schools focus on kind of the core subjects.
And they include all religions.
Yeah. Good. How do you think society views Catholic schools then?
I think for the most part they like it just because of the high moral standards that Catholic schools seem to teach.
I think society definitely thinks that since it is so private, you get a better education because you're paying for it. They do provide you a lot, and they do teach you the morals too. You think so?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I asked the people I interviewed whether they liked the idea of Catholic schools based on their own experiences, and I asked what they thought society's views were on Catholic schools. Katie talked about how she liked the idea of Catholic schools, but she wouldn't actually send her own children. And a couple of other people I interviewed said that they really liked it and they would send their own children because they thought that they got such a great education that they wanted to pass that on to their kids. When it came to the views of society, a lot of them talked about how they thought society might think it was strict. They brought up nuns and priests and going to mass, and how they felt like Catholic schools get this reputation of being very prestigious because of their high moral standings and their academic achievements, because in standardized test scores they do score so well. And so I guess society feels like Catholic schools might be the best way to go, just as private schools compared to public schools. Awesome. You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Good. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for inquiring.